What if somebody shames you and tells you that you're too sensitive? They seem to have an issue with your level of sensitivity. One of the most fascinating things that I've learned about healing, about doing the work through my own shit, which I'm not going to talk about in this video because boundaries, is that a majority of the things that I have been shamed for, or basically told that I suck for having these qualities, I've actually realized are turning out to be somewhat of superpowers. Sensitivity is like a superpower. If you are highly empathic, if you are highly sensitive, if you're highly attuned, that coupled with, of course, boundaries is like a wild superpower. You could walk into a room and scan the room and in seconds figure out if it's safe or not. And it's just fascinating because so many people are shamed for apparently being too sensitive. It's like, really, Nancy? Or in this case, Karen, just to play into the funny name. Anyway, so there's nothing bad about being sensitive, and if you're being shamed, it's not good or bad or right or wrong. It's just something you're built highly and deeply empathically. If you're shamed for being too sensitive, the likelihood that the other person that is shaming you is projecting their own feelings of themselves onto you because they lack healthy boundaries is very high. That's the first thing that I would look at. Secondly, fuck yeah for being highly sensitive. Guess what? If you couple that with healthy boundaries, you can be a fucking superstar. You could be this person who is able to like tap in to people and environments and find out really fucking quickly if they're a healthy fit for a relationship with you. Like, that's dope. And imagine that. Imagine like you're in a situation with somebody and you're listening to them talk and you're trying to figure out if you should be friends with them. Well, if you're highly sensitive, or if you're too sensitive, as the Karens out there would say, then the reality is that you have a pretty good foot in, without even violating anyone's boundaries. You have a pretty good foot into somebody else's universe to figure out whether or not they're healthy. And the fascinating thing is that if you highly attune to somebody like really quickly, the likelihood that it is a trauma response based in your survival based childhood, and the reason that you're tuning into them so rapidly is because actually they're unsafe. Because what did you do in childhood to feel safe? You tuned into other people in your environment. That is, if you were raised in a survival based childhood where you learned high attunement to your environment and the people in your environment. And so the likelihood that the people that you're tuning into, because we tune quickly into things that are chaotic as a trauma response from the familiar and comfortable childhood. So the likelihood that you're rapidly tuning in to people, the likelihood that that is basically saying that these people are unsafe is very high. If anyone ever tells you that you're too sensitive and you're just communicating how you feel about something, they are unhealthy. They're projecting how they feel about themselves onto you. They're also, from what I've understood and learned, they're gaslighting you. They're trying to get you to believe that there's something up with you when there's not. If you liked to be talked to in a certain way and you're communicating that, but they're not meeting that need, and they're saying to you that you're too sensitive, that has everything to do with them and not you. I mean, quite honestly, like, you made it out of the survival based childhood. Kudos for you. That's fantastic. Now you've developed this skill of being highly sensitive. Now, don't get me wrong when I say that there is such thing as too much. When you take something and you completely fuck it out of proportion, you blow it the whole you blow it the hell out of proportion. You overreact to something when you don't need to. There's such thing as an unhealthy response to something. But if somebody is talking to you in a way that you do not like and you're told that you're too sensitive, that's just unacceptable. If somebody says something to you and you completely blow it out of proportion, that's unhealthy. I mean, of course, it depends on like what it is that they say to you. I'm not going to sit here and say that uh, if somebody is verbally degrading the hell out of you and you have a response that is either equal to or greater than that, I would argue that that's its own thing. Let's categorize these things real quick. If somebody says something to you and you don't like it, but it wasn't like they were coming from a place of unhealth, they were just saying something and you didn't like it. For you to blow that out of proportion would be unhealthy. For you to instead communicate what it is that you felt in regards to that and then a need that you have moving forward, I need you to not talk to me that way. Cool. If they can't do that, run. And it's that simple. But if you are shamed for being too sensitive, it's really important to understand what's happening there. Somebody is projecting their own shame onto you. They're also projecting their own understanding of sensitivity based on how they experience sensitivity within themselves onto you. It's really an entire projection experience. Somebody is projecting onto you how they feel about themselves. And if you are unaware of anything in regards to psychoanalytic theory and Freudian psychology, and you're unaware of defense mechanisms and projections and displacements, you're not going to see it for what it is. And remember, on this channel, I talk a lot about seeing everything for what it is so that you're not blinded by or distracted by what it's not. Projections are projections. If you take them personally, you'll be very confused. Projections have nothing to do with you. They are boundary violations. I mean, there might be some time that you like sit with it and you think about it and something might have something to do with you. Something that someone projects onto you might have something to do with you. But a far majority of the time, projections are the other person's issue and not yours. But really, the subject here, the theme here is being shamed for being too sensitive. Uh, get rid of the shame because you don't need that. Who the hell needs shame? Yeah, no thanks. I'll pass on that. And then look at the whole thing of being too sensitive and just instead look at it as being sensitive. I would consider being sensitive a gift. Don't even look at the perception of, the stereotype of being too sensitive and apparently you're weak, apparently you're this, you're that. I kind of like I like to look at it in the way of, Spider-Man, right? Like my favorite Marvel character, by the way. uh Spider-Man, he's got his spidey sense, right? He tunes into his environment. He can sense when something is up. Being able to sense anything and everything is fucking dope and very fucking important. I mean, would you rather be sensitive and be able to sense, be emotionally and energetically tuned in to people and environments and be able to read shit and, depending on how good you get at it, fucking minutes? Or would you rather be numbed out and completely unaware and tuned out from yourself and your environment? I will totally pass on the latter. Yeah, why allow yourself to sit in shame in regards to being sensitive when being sensitive is actually a fucking healthy thing, of course, coupled with boundaries, right? So it's like there's the sensitivity in place. You go into an environment. I'll make this make sense to the best of my ability. There's the sensitivity in place. Say, just for instance, empathic. You are empathic and you walk into a space, wherever it is. You scan the environment. Either you say, this place is not safe, or this place is safe. Maybe there's something of balance where it's somewhere in the middle. Doesn't really matter. The boundary is where you stop yourself and don't think to yourself, I should go in here and figure out how to make it safer. No. You could also put your life in danger and even other people's lives as well. The boundary is where you recognize, oh, this is not safe. Or if it's a person and they're just not cooperating with what it is that you need from them, and it's not unhealthy, what it is that you need, it's very healthy. You've communicated what it is you need, and they're like totally rebelling against it. Yeah, Get the fuck out of there. The boundary is to communicate that whole thing, put the boundary down, and then if they push back on the boundary and, they verbally fuck up things again, leave. The boundary is all about where you stop, where you end. That's the important thing. Empaths, when they couple themselves with exceedingly healthy boundaries, man, they are so... I'm almost speechless about it. It's a fucking skill to be highly attuned. Couple that with healthy boundaries. Oh shit, this place is not safe. I figured that out in a matter of fucking 1 minute, 2 minutes. I'm out of here. And then you might find out on the news that something unfortunate happened there. Who knows? Who the fuck knows? The matter is recognizing sensitivity for what it is. You have the capacity, and I would argue that this, I don't know if this is truth or not, but I would argue based on my opinion that this can also be a learned skill. You have the capacity to sense. You are not numbed out. You can, looks kind of funny, you can sense into your environment. You can walk into an environment and be like, oh, this place is pretty cool. This is chill. I'll stay for like 30 minutes or an hour. Or, oh shit, this place is really unsafe. A fight is already breaking out. I'm going to get the fuck out of here. What you're not going to do, if you choose the healthy route, is try to get in and break up the fight. Why the fuck would you do that? You're putting your life in danger. Even if you know the people, you're not responsible for other people. So understanding that you're sensitive, cool, dope, that's awesome. Now, boundaries. Why? Because you're not responsible for other adults. You may have thought that you are responsible for other adults, and if there is an adult that is like being irresponsible and doing too much things excessively, maybe it's drinking, maybe they're getting themselves like overly intoxicated, I would not be the person to take responsibility for somebody like that, because the likelihood that that is a pattern and that's the way that they are, and you're wondering if you should get away from them as a friend, yes, you should, absolutely. It's just not healthy. Being highly sensitive, in my opinion, coupled with boundaries, healthy, exceedingly healthy boundaries, is a healthy thing. Like, it's wild how cool that actually is. You can be so much more efficient with how you approach yourself, other people, things, and life if you tune in, and then you can make decisions like that. So let me just make it clear real quick again, that if you've been told that you're just too sensitive, it has everything to do with them. They're just projecting how they feel about themselves onto you. That's the difference. And being sensitive is a healthy thing. Would you rather be sensitive or would you rather be numbed out? You could be sensitive and tuned in and figure out how you need to approach things, or numbed out and like totally out of tune with everything. Yeah, fuck that.